The Bar Exam is a series dedicated to fans of raw lyricism. It's dedicated to MCs who respect the craft and really push their ideas and talents to new heights. It's also a series to break down lyrics and try to really understand what the artist was trying to deliver. It's also a great time to overanalyze lyrics and underanalyze lyrics. Welcome to the Bar Exam series. This is Bar Exam episode 9. Tonight's exam is on Lupe Fiasco. This is the second bar exam on Lupe Fiasco. I believe he was on episode 1 with the song Double Burger with Cheese. So we're going to continue down the Lupe Fiasco rabbit hole to continue to find more and more gems. The one song everybody knows Lupe for is Mural. And I think it's important as a lyricist and as an MC, if you want to really point out, if you have a song that everybody can say, you know what, if you want to bring up lyricism, if you want to bring up just raw talent, this is the go-to song. But the good thing with Lupe is he's had so many major moments lyrically, whether it's on that album, Tietso Youth, or if it's after that album or way before. There's a lot of different pockets he's been in, but it's still important nonetheless to have one standout song that everybody can dig from. So the song we're going to be breaking down today was off of his 2011 mixtape titled Friend of the People, I Fight Evil. This is the cover. The song is called Life, Death, and Love from San Francisco. So the beat Lupe decided to rhyme on was A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. What's so cool about this sample is it's not like the normal way of rhyming over a sample where someone finds a little piece of the sample, they loop it up and then throw in some drums and bass on it. The way the beat was reworked is it's literally like you're going into like a jazz lounge. You're going to like a spoken word event. So the way the beat is looped, the way it is set up is perfect for what the topic of the song was. So it's almost like you're stepping into like a spoken word event. So this song is about, let's say, a late 20s woman, a bohemian type style chick. You can tell she's not from San Francisco, but she just moved to San Francisco. And then she's basically going on a date with the dude. So this is kind of like the basis of the song. So the song starts off, she said love is a hard thing, right? So she's indicating that she's had some difficult relationships, or it's hard to find her version of love. Then somewhere between golfing and gardening, right? Gardening. So basically her finding love is comparing it to how difficult it is to play golf, and then how tedious and how attentive you have to be to actually garden properly. And then he's comparing love to, or she's comparing love to trying to get parole at a parole board hearing, which is extremely difficult. Then the next bar might be a double entendre. So Lupe is saying she's still down for a hard swing. So that could be a reference to she's still down to try to find love even though it's very difficult. Or she's down to be a swinger, which is even crazier. So the flowers she would pick like guitar strings for a real good whiff. So what he's saying is that little 2 seconds when you smell fresh flowers, that moment in your mind. So that's going to set up the next line. So his next line says, how life behind par seems. So this goes back to the golf bar from a few bars before. So in the game of golf, if you're above par, if you relate that to life, so if you're above par in golf, that's bad. That means you're hitting above where you need to be. So you're actually losing at that point, because the goal is to have less hits to make it into the goal than not. So life above par is almost like your bills aren't paid on time, you got debt, you got stress, everything's going bad. But she's saying that she's imagining from those 2 little seconds from smelling the flowers how life behind par seemed, which is the easy life. Everything's going great in every way that you can imagine. So the next bar is complicated. So he throws in she's gonna bar teen like bar 10, but he says it in a certain way. So it seems like this girl is either a bartender, but it also can feel like she's like a correctional officer that works behind like inside of a jail, because he mentions how you're gonna pour hot lead shots if the inmate is planning to escape. But at the same time, he's also referencing if she works at a bar, she's gonna continue to pour drinks for customers. If before they plan on leaving the establishment. So I know he was working with something, and that's definitely something to continue to decipher, because that's just a crazy setup either way. So now this girl, she's on the BART. So just think of the BART as like, New York subway. And I really like when he threw in, you want to see what a bum riding BART dreams. That's crazy. So on top of that, he adds in here that this bum that's on the BART was just wilding out for whatever reason, and he gets gunned down. And all this is just another day in San Francisco. So he's kind of building the different elements that she's going through on just this one random day and what it's like to live in San Francisco. So now he's going to further break down who this woman is, which is just continuing to add on to the story, right? So he's saying that she ain't living in her car, she just RVing. So basically he's almost saying like she might not be able to afford to live in San Francisco, but she doesn't look at it as she's living in her car. She just say, hey, I'm just RVing, but I'm not living in my car, kind of thing. And then the life on ice, like the San Jose Sharks team, so that's what the closest hockey team in the Bay Area. So it's almost like she's living on ice, and at any moment she can kind of collapse through. And then he threw in the kind of like a dope line. So hard time trying to duck him like Darkwing. So that's relating to the Darkwing Duck cartoon. So that's a dope play on words. And then he's just kind of showing how she does like little petty stuff, like she'll burn clothes. She's keying cars, but nothing like too serious. But he's kind of further breaking down like what she's continuing to go through in her life in San Francisco. So it looks like she's doing a little bit of shopping before the date, right? So he mentions she bought a bag out of American Rag. So it looks like she also found a really nice picture. So he says that pictures that she bought wouldn't fit in the cab. So if you think about that, like if you ever bought something that's too large to fit in a vehicle, you most likely gotta either call somebody that's got a bigger vehicle, or you gotta return it. So she probably found like some really cool picture she wanted to hang somewhere, and she had to return it. So she's just going through it at this point. So now she's back on the train, so she's back on the BART. So she's just kind of thinking about her past. She's thinking like of all her missteps, right? So she's just kind of going through it in her mind. And then some bum that's on the train, he says she politely asks if she can spit in her, her butt or whatever. So like at that point, like just from all this stuff, she loses it. And like he said, and that was it. She's throwing fits, tantrums. This is just a crazy way to set up just a regular day for somebody in San Francisco. Like this is like, it's so brilliant. Like all these small nuances, all these small details to paint an overall bigger picture before she's even gotten on the date with the dude. Like this is some insane amount of detail. So she's finally out on a date with this guy, right? So it seems like it's a blind date or some kind of date from a dating app based on like the way he breaks it down. So he starts it off. I'll spare you the details. Dinner is ceviche out of seashells. Annoyed because her date really can't speak well. So basically, she's probably thinking about having this very educated conversation with this gentleman she met via whatever means, and just the conversation is not going to her expectations and it's starting to get annoying, right? But he says, you know what? She's forced to press on like Lee nails, so like press on nails. So she's forced to just continue with the date. And then he says the next table was abhorred by the weed smell. So basically, someone smoking some of the loudest weeds you could think of, not actually inside of the restaurant, but this is before like weed was legalized, so this is something that you probably aren't going to see on the regular. It's just someone that smells like crazy weed, so that's just annoying her as well. So at this point he says she was done at the moment that the tea fell. So out of just the conversation she's had just a couple 2 minutes before they brought the tea out to start the dinner or the date, just this loud smell of weed and just everything she's gone through, it's like she's already done. Like you can pretty much wrap it up. So now her and the dude, it looks like they left the restaurant, so they're out walking under the moonlight. It looks like he's kicking her some poems or some poetry, so he's kind of thinking maybe she's a girl that would like those kind of things. So he says, unimpressed by poems or the moonlight, doesn't satisfy her like a game of pool might. So it's like she'd rather be playing pool than walking under the moonlight. So I guess their wires were crossed. Maybe he thought she was this type of girl. So this definitely seems like it's not playing out right. Then it says, thinking, what if Fantasia had a broom strike? So in her mind, she's totally like not even thinking about the date. She's thinking about the movie cartoon, the Fantasia movie. Would if Fantasia had a broom strike? Like that's crazy to even be thinking about, and that's even a crazier bar to throw on a rap record. Like that's insane. So then he asks her, so what do you like? So he's kind of like, damn, like, what are you into? So she just throws in a random thing like, talking about a dating site, right? And then she just vanishes. She just leaves the dude. Like, that's the end of the date. So he ends the song, right? So he's basically saying how the girl left him. So he brings in two musical references, how the Roots left Geffen, right? How the Roots rap group 90s left Geffen Records. Then he brings in how Howlin' Wolf left Chess. I had to search for Howlin' Wolf is like a jazz, I believe, or a blues player from like the 50s or 60s, and how he left Chess. Chess is the record label, right? So he's bringing in a rap group from like the 90s, 2000s, and an old school musician, and he's bringing these 2 points into how this girl just abruptly left this man on a date. That's insane. Just to get a point across is just masterful. So he finally ends it. She really needs to check in and to apologize to her best friend. So this was just a masterful way of storytelling, how to really break down a woman, like how to break down all the things this woman goes through living in San Francisco, all the little things she gets into just to get to this date, how she's just trying to find love, how she's going through all these difficulties. There's so many subtle things that are going on this song, so many small little details, so many ways to kind of work your angle at telling it. And this is on a mixtape. This is a random sample that's looped up it's like it's just like you stepped into a lounge and someone is just like they're just giving you like this story, and it just works from end to end. Everything ties in, everything makes sense, everything is tied back to San Francisco. This is just another masterful display of how Lupe Fiasco can really hone in on lyricism. This is needed in hip hop, just different ways to express yourself, different ways to tell a story. This is definitely a song to check out and to kind of get your take on how you feel about it.